What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. Once again, I am Ryan Thomas, your host for tonight's episode of the Thomas Take. Very exciting stuff tonight. 9 o'clock Eastern Time in Buffalo, New York, bringing you guys another segment of the Thomas Take, part one of tonight's episode. First topic that I wanted to talk about was a topic that has gained a lot of headway as the days have gone on, and that is the topic of Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey electing to skip their bowl games. This topic has really exploded over the course of the last few days. There's been Fournette and McCaffrey and a couple others that have decided to skip their bowl games, and it's caught the attention of the NFL media, it's caught the attention of the NCAA, it's caught the attention of the whole sports world, frankly. And it's a huge shock to a lot of fans within the sport of football that expected Leonard Fournette to be a part of his last game at LSU and expected Christian McCaffrey to be a part of his last game at Stanford. Many people have taken problems with, they take this very seriously within the NFL. Bruce Arians, the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, said that it is definitely a concern that football is a team sport, and under the team sport principles, he would not expect a player like Leonard Fournette's caliber or a player like Christian McCaffrey's caliber to elect to skip their bowl game. Jerry Jones, basically the GM, coach, owner of the Dallas Cowboys, said that he played back in the 60s and he would have very much regretted not playing in his last collegiate game. But a few different points I wanted to make on the Thomas Take tonight about this subject. Jerry Jones is talking about his own collegiate career. That was the last football game that Jerry Jones ever played in. Of course, he was going to play in it. Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey have a long way to go as far as their football playing career. So, here it's two completely different contrasting situations between Fournette and McCaffrey, and obviously Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones never played professional football. He played collegiate football at Arkansas, went into the business and the family business, and the rest is history. Fournette and McCaffrey have multi-million-dollar contracts on the line that you look at Jalen Smith, he lost close to $18 to $19 million due to the bowl game injury that he suffered, putting him outside the top five of this past year's draft, of the 2016 NFL draft, and putting him in the second round of the draft to Dallas. So he lost, multi-million-dollar deals, endorsement deals as well, because of that injury that he suffered in that bowl game. Also, the fact that Leonard Fournette has zero allegiance to the current regime of LSU. Les Miles was fired this season. The head coach that Leonard Fournette started the season at LSU with this season is no longer the head coach. So why put your body on the line in a situation that really isn't really necessarily a win-win? Say they win the game, it's great for his college, it's great for his lasting legacy at LSU, but Leonard Fournette's playmaking ability, he wants it to go well beyond LSU, and that's a player's choice to make that decision. Most of these guys that have the athletic ability that they have come from rough backgrounds. They come from backgrounds where their families don't have money, and playing this game at the ability level that they can play it at, it gives them the chance to give back to their family. And Leonard Fournette is a guy that I think will definitely reap the benefits of having a great collegiate career at LSU, with or without playing in this bowl game. It has no effect on his draft stock to me whatsoever, and it'll obviously help his chances at being able to stay healthy, preparing for this NFL draft, putting himself in the right position to be drafted inside the top 5, top 6 picks, maybe even top 3 picks. And that was a smart business decision. The same goes for Christian McCaffrey. I have no problem with this whatsoever. Who are we to say what a player should and shouldn't do as fans or as writers or as commentators? Who am I to tell a guy what he shouldn't do as a lifelong future decision for himself? This is his decision. He wants to make his decision as far as not playing in this bowl game to remain healthy. There's really no reward in playing in this bowl game, due in large part to the fact that these guys don't get paid to play in this bowl game. Guys don't get paid to play college football. It's said they don't get paid. I'm sure at some point along the line they get some sort of booster packages and things of that nature. But other than that, they don't get paid like they do in the NFL. They just don't. So obviously, being at an NCAA institutions, they're not going to let that happen. So this is their last chance to stay healthy before they prepare for the NFL draft. And if they can prepare for the NFL draft in a better way, focusing on that, they obviously know that they're two of the best running backs in the 2017 NFL draft class. They want to be prepared for the NFL draft. They want to know that they're going to be healthy, ready, and pretty much ace the scouting combine, ace their pro day, maybe even furthering their draft stock higher, even higher than what it already is. And there's quite a few great running backs in this draft class. Dalvin Cook was a guy that decided not to declare for this year's NFL draft. He's returning to Florida State. That was a guy that I really liked heading into this year's draft, but on to the next year for Dalvin Cook. But Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey are two of the best players in this year's draft, two of the best running backs in this year's draft as well, obviously. So they have no reason to play in these games. I could see the other side of the coin. I could see guys, wanting a player to go out on his shield for his collegiate team. That's your last collegiate game, choosing not to play in it. I can see why people would be like, that's not right. You want to play for your college, but who are we to tell a young man what he should do with his future, with the future that he's earned, with what he has done already for the universities, in the case of Leonard Fournette and LSU and Christian McCaffrey at Stanford. They've already accomplished what they've needed to accomplish in order to be given the contracts that they have dreamed of for years, and putting themselves in situations in the NFL that they're focusing on their NFL careers. I take I have no problem with it whatsoever. I think Leonard Fournette is possibly the best player in this year's draft, skill for skill, and why should he put his body on the line in a situation that is really a no-win situation? If he wins the bowl game, he was supposed to win the bowl game. If he loses the bowl game, then it hurts his draft stock. If he plays in it, he could get hurt. If he doesn't play in it and prepares for the NFL draft, he won't get hurt, and his draft stock remains relatively the same. It's a win-win for everybody, and the same exact scenario goes for Christian McCaffrey. If he plays in the game, there's a chance that he could get hurt. If he doesn't play in the game, his NFL draft stock does not go down, and he does not allow himself the opportunity to get hurt. This is one less opportunity that these players have to not get hurt. And I think that it's a very smart move by both Leonard Fournette and a very smart move by Christian McCaffrey to decide not to play in these bowl games. I take no problem with it whatsoever. The bowl games in the collegiate ranks now, there's 80 bowl games. It's so oversaturated, so unnecessary. There's a Chick-fil-A bowl, there's a Buffalo Wild Wings bowl, there's a Pinstripe bowl, there's a Tostitos bowl, a Citrus bowl, a Sun bowl. There's so many bowl games that two guys deciding, even though they're the two highest, the two collegiate players with the most notoriety at the running back position at this moment, deciding not to play in these bowl games, I don't care. I really don't. It has no effect on me whatsoever. I actually think that this is great. I think that this is a great thing for collegiate players that are moving on to the bigger ranks of the NFL to rest their body, to prepare their body for the NFL season. These guys, especially in the case of Leonard Fournette could go to a very bad team where his body is going to be tested. So why put yourself in harm's way for a regime at LSU that you weren't even a part of? That they were not the same regime that recruited you to the university. So he has no allegiance to these guys. His coach was fired. And the same thing with Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey, obviously the son of Ed McCaffrey. Ed McCaffrey probably wants what's best for his son, and that's what he's going to get. That this is his way of making sure that his son stays protected heading into the NFL draft. No problem whatsoever. None whatsoever. Now, obviously, I do have some problems with Joe Mixon from, I believe it's Oklahoma, and the comments that Bob Stoops has made about the domestic violence video that was released about Mixon, saying that if this had happened in 2014, Mixon would have been suspended. Just Bob Stoops needs to stop talking about this. He needs to stop answering questions. He should say no comment to every single question, because the more questions about this that he answers, it just looks worse and worse and worse. Joe Mixon is a guy that I would not draft. I don't care if she pushed him first and he hit her. I don't care. I don't want any of that in my locker room. I don't want any of that near my organization whatsoever. It's negative. It's just unnecessary, not needed whatsoever. Joe Mixon can play for 31 NFL teams. He wouldn't be playing for mine. I want guys on my team, if I was an NFL GM, that would be character individuals, guys that I can welcome into my community and expect them to do their due diligence in the community, raising money for foundations locally. In the case of my city, Buffalo, I'd want a guy to be drafted with good character, that comes from a good family, that wants to maybe contribute to Roswell, help raise awareness for cancer, help Roswell in their cancer research, things like that. I don't want to hear stories about guys punching their girlfriends, punching their wives, punching girls that they went to school with. I don't want no part of that. I don't want any part of that. And frankly, I've heard so much stuff from people saying, "Would you give Ray Rice a second chance?" I get that question constantly. Would you give Ray Rice a second chance? No, I would not. No, I would not. Ray Rice belongs out of the NFL. He blew his opportunity. He threw it away, regardless of whether he ended up marrying his girlfriend at the time that he hit in that elevator. I don't want that in my locker room, period. I don't want the distraction. That's more of a distraction than anything that, quote-unquote, Tim Tebow has done as a distraction. They say Tim Tebow is a distraction, but they bring in guys like Greg Hardy. That doesn't make much sense. That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. How is Tim Tebow more of a distraction than Greg Hardy? Because he's a bigger name, because he's got fame behind him, because he has the people behind him. That makes him a distraction? I don't understand that. If you're an NFL head coach and you think a guy is a distraction as a backup, then you are not a good coach. If you're going to let a backup player become a distraction on your team, then you should not be coaching in the National Football League. That was my take on the Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey situation. They're skipping their bowl games. No, I don't care. No, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's actually a good thing that these guys are deciding to skip these games to preserve their body, to give themselves the best chance to have immediate success in the National Football League. And Bob Stoops needs to stay quiet about Joe Mixon. He needs to say no comment. And Joe Mixon should not be drafted by an NFL team this season. And also, I don't think Ray Rice should be given a second chance. I think that it's time to lay that to rest. Ray Rice shouldn't play in the NFL again. He's not going to. Roger Goodell, in some partial reasons, is the reason for that. Take care.